enough, you guppies! The enemy is evolving and invading our lands. The time to strike is now! We need you to deploy our elite force of mosquito fish and neutralize the enemy. Mosquitoes will breed in many backyard-standing water bodies such as green swimming pools, ponds, and fountains. Mosquito fish are a natural method of control and will stop the enemy before they evolve into fully fledged fighting machines. This will reduce the mosquito population and promote safer communities for all of Hillsborough County residents. Report to htfl.gov/mosquitoes for more information on how you can prevent mosquitoes. Good luck, guppies. Make me proud.
Good afternoon. The Hillsborough County Commission on Human Trafficking Board meeting of May 23rd, 2024 is now called to order. I'd like to thank our board members and the public for attending this meeting today. Ms. Multileon, please take the roll and determine if we have a quorum. Thank you.
Certainly, sir. Gregory Rice?
Here.
I thought I saw you. Chair Klug?
Here.
Connie Rose?
Here.
Deborah Laskowski?
Here.
Commissioner Cepeda? Dottie Groover Skipper?
I'm here.
Captain Carlisle? Corporal Savlon, thank you. Jennifer Glaister?
Here.
Deputy Chief Dishman? Here. Rocky Brancato?
Here.
School Board Member Perez? Officer Pascali? Corporal Shiver?
Here.
Mayor Espinoza?
Here.
Major Timko?
Sergeant Ashley Lindeman here for HCSO.
Thank you very much. And Chair, she realizes that she's a non-voting member. She's here just for participation. Chief Judge Sabella?
Here.
Jolynn Loki?
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I would like to acknowledge and honor Dr. Myra Espinoza and Ms. Deborah Lakowski for their service on this board. And could Dr. Espinoza and Ms. Lakowski please approach the podium? Dr. Myra Espinoza was appointed by the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners to serve as the hospital and medical professional representative on our Commission on Human Trafficking. Dr. Espinoza has served the Commission with distinction throughout her time on the board and effectively championed the Commission throughout her years of service. The Commission on Human Trafficking is losing the services of a dedicated public servant, a respected community leader, and a strong ambassador for the Commission. On behalf of the Commission on Human Trafficking, we express our sincere appreciation and commend Dr. Myra Espinoza for her loyal, dedicated service to the Commission. We also have this certificate of appreciation from the Board of County Commissioners, signed by all the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you, Doctor. Would you like to say anything, or are you fine?
I would just like to take a few moments to thank each and every one of you that sits on this commission for all that you do, as well as the commissioners for allowing this to be a space to help discussions regarding human trafficking. It's been an absolute honor to be on this board. My time at the Crisis Center in the Nurse Ambassador role is coming to an end, but in this time I've been able to educate the community about human trafficking, sexual assault in Spanish and English to wide audiences, and it's been a complete honor. So I would like to thank you all.
It's also my honor and pleasure to thank Deborah Lakowski. Ms. Deborah Lakowski was appointed by the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners to serve as the community advocate on behalf of the Commission. Ms. Lakowski has served with distinction throughout her time on the board and has freely devoted her time and talents to the Commission and community throughout the years of service on the Commission. The Commission is losing a dedicated servant and respected community advocate and true ambassador to the Commission on Human Trafficking. So once again, on behalf of the Commission on Human Trafficking, we express our sincere appreciation and commend Ms. Deborah Lakowski for her loyal, dedicated service to the Commission. And also on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, we have another certificate of appreciation for Ms. Lakowski. Again. Okay, thank you.
Those of you probably remember when I first started. I had just retired. I'm a licensed clinical social worker,
and I don't think that I was ready to give up my role as a social worker. And so when I saw this, I thought, oh, what a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to continue in a different kind of position. And these 2 years just went by so quickly. So I'm now at the end of my tenure, and I just would like to echo what Myra said. It's been truly an honor and a pleasure to serve on this board. Never thinking that I would be in the same room with all these famous people in Hillsborough County. So again, thank you so much for welcoming me and for allowing me to be a part of this organization. Thank you.
Okay, in your agenda, you should have a meeting recap from the last meeting. Also that the subcommittees on the steering, legislative, and judicial subcommittees did not meet between the last meeting. But we do have the meeting recap. And do you have any questions about the recap?
I just had already pointed out to Ms. Monteleone that, and I don't know where it is now, but about the mural project, it was the Tampa Foundation, not the Tampa Project,
Okay.
was the name of the organization, and that there was a typo in my name, but that wasn't a
Okay.
big deal. And I don't know where they are now in the minutes, but.
I'll find the references and I will correct those. So if there aren't any other changes, if anyone has them, let me know now, and you can motion to accept the recap as amended.
Okay. So do we have a motion to accept it as amended?
Connie Rose, I accept.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Okay, we also have budget and planning. If you, hope you all have the agendas there. Inside your agenda packet, we also have an agenda that includes, I'm sorry, before we get to that, we have the FKQ, Marketing and Communications Campaign. So let's get to that first. That's important, though, thinking about, look at your, the recap as far as the funding availability as we're listening to this presentation. So I think it's online. We have representative from FKQ. I think it's Elisa DiBernardo.
Yes, actually, Elisa was not able to make it today. This is Christina Johnson. I'm the media director at FKQ, and I will take you through the media plan. So thank you for inviting us back to review the media plan for the Anti-Human Trafficking Initiative. We definitely value the opportunity to be part of this important campaign. And we did previously present the plan parameters and creative for this campaign. And today we're going to provide a little bit more detail about the media plan specifically. So to restate the objectives, there are to raise awareness around the issue of human trafficking in the Tampa Bay area and recognize the sign, and also learn how to report suspicious activity. And the creative reflects this. And the ultimate goal is to unify and empower our residents to stop this activity in our community. Next slide, please. Here we have an overview of the channel mix. So the overall media strategy is to place a very cost-effective strategic buy within the allocated budget, and this will be enhanced by added value. And the majority of this will be in the form of no-charge bonus PSAs. We have spots, radio and TV spots. There will be additional PSAs in the form of digital banners and print. There will be some social media as well as part of, negotiated as part of the paid buys. Here's just an overview. And if we go to the next page, we will go over the specifics for each media channel. So for television, we're partnering with one of the leading stations in Tampa Bay, and in this case, WFLA. They have been a great partner in the past. They did do a similar plan both in 2021 and 2020, 21, and 22. And this would include a paid buy in addition to a significant spot exposure in terms of PSAs as well. This will include both on-air and streaming spots, potentially some interviews if we feel that that will be an important part of this campaign. The additional stations in the market have also agreed to provide PSAs. We have a guaranteed number of PSAs from quite a few stations in the market. This also includes Spectrum Cable. Next page, please. For the radio campaign, this is purely PSAs, no paid buys. The major radio companies in the market, iHeart and Cox and Beasley, have all agreed to specific numbers of spots to run for this campaign, July through August. And we are working with them all to extend this PSA campaign as well. There could be some opportunities for interviews on a few of these stations as well. Next page. We have quite a few components specific to out-of-home media. This outlines the digital rotary networks. The coverage will be primarily for Central and East Tampa and some exposure in South and Hillsborough County as well. Next page. In addition to digital bulletins, we also have static bulletins and posters that tend to focus more on East Tampa, East Hillsborough, and South Hillsborough County. And these were areas that had previously been identified as key areas. Next page. In addition, we are also including wrapped vehicles, and this is an opportunity to extend into areas that are not currently reached by traditional out-of-home. Next page. We also have a few transit options. This includes buses in the form of bus side creative and also bus tails. So this is a combination of a paid and a PSA buy. I believe the county may have some additional bus creative running as well in addition to this. Next page. And we're also including bus shelters and bus benches. These are also focused more on the East Tampa, East Hillsborough, and South Hillsborough geography. Next page. We are also including digital signage at Tampa International Airport, and this is an opportunity to reach visitors as they arrive in Tampa. This is specifically in baggage claim. Next page. Print is included in the form of PSAs only. We have exposure in both print and digital editions of the Tampa Bay Times. It's an opportunity to reach the general public and potential donors as well. Next page. And here's an visual representation of the media plan. We are estimating to deliver almost 55 million impressions between July and December. Most of the paid media, as you can see, you see the media channels on the left, and then it's reflected how they're flighted in terms of the media schedule. Starting in July, the majority is between July and September in terms of paid and PSAs, but we do have some PSAs extending into December. Next page, please. We also had an opportunity to review how we could extend this campaign into the beginning of fiscal year 25. So we have a budget option with the similar channels at the budget level of 200,000. And on the next page, we are including how that is reflected for each of the channels. So you will see here an option for 150,000. This is the plan that we just reviewed, and an option to extend to include December through March. And we really would like to include this time period because National Human Trafficking Prevention Month is in January, and it's also a relevant time period as it's peak season for visitors and large events in Tampa Bay. And I believe this is it for us. So let me know if there are any questions regarding this campaign at this point.
Okay, do we have any questions? Okay, I do have a question, is that who's the best person to contact if they want to share that campaign? For instance, at Port Tampa Bay, we were posting, I think we had the previous campaign in our cruise terminals. We like to update that, and who's the best contact person at FKQ?
So Elisa runs this campaign from an account management perspective, and we have a full media team that can assist as well, but Elisa DiBernardo would be the contact at FKQ.
Do you have any other questions for FKQ?
We are looking, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. So I know this being a small budget, last year, I believe you guys had Titus O'Neill, who was
Yes.
able to have some added value. And I know
Yes.
that FKQ isn't the ones with the connection with him, so I was wondering if there was anybody in the room that thought of any other celebrity that could help, multiply some of these opportunities, because I think there wasn't an opportunity to maybe get him again, so I didn't know if there was anything in the works or anyone had any ideas for that.
Let me just state that we do have approval to use this video, but as you just mentioned, in order to reignite this relationship, we would need the commission's help. For example, for future appearances in events or segments that we're able to negotiate this added value.
Good question. Thank you. And by the way, we do know that the phones are being answered. I think that was a question we had last time as far as our campaign. Thanks.
Could I just ask our relationship with the Sports Authority? I know with Super Bowl, when we had the campaign last year, I mean, they're a great connection. I didn't know if we could reach out to them, maybe the Buccaneers or the Lightning, if anybody has those connections, or with the Sports Authority.
I think we do have connections, which is one of the reasons I was bringing it up, but I didn't know if the commission and FKQ had planned to use him or another celebrity again, so would be happy to get with some of these people directly, or with the Sports Commission, or with the Sports Authority, or with the Lightning, depending on who that person would be.
Commissioner Klug?
Yes.
I have a question about the budget. I know that we have funds available right
Yes.
now, and they need to be spent by a certain time. So at what point do we want to go ahead and address that extension?
That's what we're doing next.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So,
Well,
I-
this is Connie, before you do that, I have another question.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it ties in
Go ahead.
to all of this. So I know that we talked about this in the past, this is to FKQ, but the numbers dropped drastically of PSAs and paid in November and December. Our kids are home during November for Thanksgiving break, and they're home in December. And we really need to have this information out and being as active as we are in July, August, and September. How can we make that happen? As Jennifer said, we have some extra monies in the budget. So how can we expand on that conversation and then roll into January through March?
Good.
Yeah, so we'll recommend our option two, or extended option, would start in December, and we could certainly consider starting a little bit earlier in November if we feel that this will make a significant difference. So currently, the extended campaign would start in December and go through March.
Good. Great comments, and that ties into our next issue on the agenda. And actually, I'd like to turn that over to Ms. Monteleone. She has prepared a nice recap of our funding. And I hope that's, looking at your agenda, that should be in there. And looking at how much funds we've actually procured, and then how much money is remaining. So Ms. Monteleone, if you could explain what's remaining and how much we can apply to perhaps another FKQ campaign.
Sure. So in your packet, the funding recap I had put together as of May 16th, and nothing between May 16th and today has changed. It does give the history of previous funds and where those were expended. It shows under the training and public awareness category, there's $267,000. 150,000 has been committed to this current campaign in its current form to FKQ. I do want to point out that although it has been traditionally called the Training and Public Awareness Campaign, funds, there isn't any restriction on that 267,000 to be spent in that category. So that's why at the bottom, when it has funds available, it's not called out in separate categories. It's just shown as a lump sum. So moving to that portion of it at the bottom, the $300,000 is the one-time funding that Commissioner Cameron Cepeda had included in her flag item in the budget. Then the $267,000 has been recurring funds from the previous chair and the previous commissioner, who was part of this board, who actually started this board. And then it shows the $150,000 that's committed to FKQ coming out of that. So the total amount of funds remaining available is $417,000.
Actually, going back to FKQ, can we put that slide back on? It has the budget recap, and it has I think at the bottom has budget total 150,000 and 200,000. Just put that in context there.
Yes, we have a total of 350,000 allocated at this point.
The last, I'm sorry, if HTV can bring up the last slide of the FKQ presentation, please.
I think it's page 14.
Page 14, it looks like this.
Yep.
I can hold it up. Okay. Yeah, everyone has it in their packets while we're waiting.
Right.
There it is. Okay, thank you very much, HTV.
Okay. So we have committed 150,000, but this campaign shows we could do up to 200,000. So.
We have a total of 350,000 allocated for the original campaign and the extension through March. And if there are additional funds available, we can certainly provide an additional option for those funds.
Okay, so that's an option, is the additional media buy, and also we have some other things to discuss. There's a human trafficking mural, as well as the housing initiative, and maybe you can just talk about those briefly, Ms. Muldoon, as well, if you don't mind. And just as far as where can we allocate these funds, what's the best course for that?
I'm so sorry. I'm usually the one reminding others to do that. So at the last meeting, we had a presentation regarding housing. The presentation was from the Rotary Club, but they are just the ones who are, I guess, acting as the development agent to raise money for the project. It's not actually the Rotary Club building the project. And those slides are included in your packets. The ones I emailed out had all the slides. The ones I printed, I wanted to cut down on the amount of paper you had in the paper packets, but the relevant slides on the amount that they were asking for is in the packet. The mural, we had discussed at steering committee, we had discussed it on several different occasions. We had a presentation by Nicole Hubbard, I believe it was, at one of the meetings. And Ms. Groover-Skipper was kind enough to put together a one-page outline of the mural project and potentially what could be funded through this commission for having a mural. We're still looking for a location, and I think the chair himself has been working diligently on trying to secure a location for that. And then the FKQ media buy, which you just discussed. So it would be, and I'm not sure if it was clear, but when I spoke with Ms. DiBernardo, it was to extend the campaign out through the spring of 2025 because the activity in Tampa, as everyone knows, wanes during the hot summer months and then picks back up again with the tourists coming back in, as Ms. Loki can attest to. And there's a lot of events happening January, February, March. So we thought to extend the campaign into next spring would hit a larger market than we would over the summer. And around the November, December holidays. So the FKQ extension also brings with it additional funds to expend on media buys and such through March of 2025. That's all I had, unless you have any other questions.
No, with respect to the building that home presentation we heard from the Rotary Club, Pasco County last meeting, that particular facility is, I think, could also have housed, women from Hillsborough County. It's not just limited to Pasco County; it's across the state. I'm not sure anyone wants to talk about that.
I did want to bring up, I did a little more research, and while I certainly appreciated the people from the Rotary Club, they did an excellent job, and I think their hearts are incredibly in the right place. Because we are talking about people for Hillsborough County, and also all work for the taxpayers of Hillsborough County, I believe in order to support any more funds for them, community children and community families sign a bed rate agreement. I believe they should have to do away with that bed rate agreement, because basically what they're doing is that they're not offering services to community children. So we're putting people in a position where if you want help, you need to give your children up to the state of Florida, instead of people being able to go to a place like Bridging Freedom and say, I need help now, but I can't afford your services. But when they're forced to sign a bed agreement, people either don't have insurance to pay for it or their insurance won't pay for it. So we need to find a way to also assist those people.
Any more discussion?
Jennifer, this is for you. Do you happen to know in Hillsborough County, and sorry to put you on the spot like this, because dealing with our community kids and non-community kids, and as we know that our community kids, I believe, outnumber our non, but do you happen to know any statistics around that or anything that you could share with us?
All that I can really say right now is that I do know our community referrals are growing exponentially as compared to, at one point, the majority of our children were in DCF custody. We are seeing a rapid growth of community children. We're also seeing a community child can also be somebody who maybe at one time was in DCF custody and now is back, has been placed back with mom. And after 6 months or so, state's no longer involved. Mom is back on trying to keep this kid in the right place and trying to follow through with everything that was set forth in their case plan, and doesn't have the assistance anymore after the time frame. And that's why I think it's important that we recognize, and thank you for bringing that up, Connie.
Okay, and any other comments about that particular matter? Anyone else? It's good input. Also, with respect to the mural, just to give you an update, I've been working with the Florida Department of Transportation. It's my understanding it's gone all the way to the governor's office, for approval of a site, and we'll need to probably, fund the actual, mural itself, painting it, but they're going to provide the structure. It may not be a building, maybe it's going to be an underpass or some other, structure. So we're trying to find the right location, and we're trying to find something as close as possible to the previous location. And it did express, the interest in the community in this, and how it was, was a monument, and especially for survivors that, and it was well respected. We didn't have graffiti on it, et cetera. So they're still working on that. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to present today on that matter, but we'll probably need to commit some funds towards that. So with that, we have committed right now, as we said, that the funds available, $150,000, and so we have, what, $417,000 funds.
That's correct. You have $417,000 to allocate, and if we can make some motions during this meeting to get that ball rolling, that would be appreciated. I was hoping someone from procurement, oh, she is here. Okay, so we do have Daria Dixon from the Procurement Services Division. So if you have any procurement questions regarding any of the processes, I asked Daria to be here to answer those.
Very good. So those are a couple of the recommendations we had as far as the, increasing the funding for the FKQ, the media buy, the mural, which we need to figure out what that number is going to be, but we're not ready for that right now, as well as the housing initiative. So do you have any other suggestions that we should consider at this meeting?
I'm sorry, but how much are they asking Bridging Freedom? What is the Rotary Club
I think
asking?
they were looking to finish that home. They said 144,000.
That's right, okay.
Right. Right. Now, not all that would come necessarily from us. I think they've raised quite a bit of money. I think their goal was 500,000 or so, but they still need some money for that. And good comments on that. I mean, I understood from the last meeting that, I think sometimes it's best to get the survivors, the victims out of the community and put them in another community. But it is in a different county, and we're here in Hillsborough County. So those are things to take in consideration. But I'd like to have any more comments or input about that going forward. We don't have to make that commitment today, but I think for the media campaign, I think we need to do something today for that.
If we could, yes, if we could make a decision on the media campaign, that would be fantastic. And if there is, and it looks like the mural location is going to be secured, you can allocate those funds. We can get it going through procurement, and then just put location to be determined, and then we can plug in the location later on, because I really would like to get the ball rolling on expending these funds, because your next meeting the full board meeting isn't until July, and I would like to have commitments by August, because we're looking at the end of the fiscal in September. So I'd like to have as much committed for the fiscal before we go into the new budget session. And I think I've made myself clear over the past couple of meetings, but there's no guarantee that you will be funded in next year's budget at all. The $267,000 that was allocated by Commissioner Overman to be recurring funds may go away. The $300,000 was one-time funding that Commissioner Cameron Cepeda had asked for as part of her flag items. None of you can talk to her outside of this forum to ask her about that, nor can you discuss this with Commissioner Owen, because he is her alternate on this board. But if there's not a commissioner who is going to include funding as a flag item for this commission, then that $300,000 also goes away. So I'm a little worried, more than a little worried, that this $417,000 be committed while we can.
So Lisa, with that being said, is there somebody that we could reach out to at Bridging Freedom between now and July so that we could go ahead and get that passed for them, if they would be willing to go ahead and put in that they will not be enforcing a bed agreement for community children? Because if they would put that on there, I'd be like, here, take the money today, take more.
So Bridging Freedom doesn't have a seat on this commission. You can talk to anybody there at any time you like, but it has to be individually. So say two of you, just for instance, you and Connie could not go to Bridging Freedom and talk to them together, because that would be part of the sunshine, because you're going to be voting on this eventually at some point. And if I say anything wrong, Attorney Cromartie-Mincy will point that out.
So let me ask Deborah, could we agree publicly that Connie and I will reach out independently to
Actually, my recommendation would be that you all entertain a motion so that it's something that is the desire of the committee or the commission as a whole, and then maybe strategize on what that would look like.
Right, agree, because some of you may not, and obviously this, I'm totally open to the fact that some of you may not agree with me. You may very well say, you know what, they have a right to have that, and so be it, we're still for it. So I certainly recognize that and appreciate that as well.
And one of the reasons why we brought this up as far as the housing, I think housing is dire need, you know, for all survivors. And so we need to do wherever we can to find a place for these people to reside. And especially away from the communities that, you know, they were trafficked in. That's probably preferable, you know. But there could be some issues. I'm glad you brought that up with the bed commitment. That's something we can address. And so between now and the July meeting, I think we can address that issue and determine if, you know, how much money would be available in July. And then also with respect to the mural, I think we need to have a better understanding of the cost of that between now and the July meeting. But I think right now that probably the main goal is the media and additional media buys.
Right, and before you move on, I think what the county attorney was asking for was if, Ms. Glacier, you could repeat the language that you would like included and take a vote on that, so it would be a motion and a vote, so that the entire Commission on Human Trafficking agrees that that is the language that we would be asking Bridging Freedom to include.
I would like for it to include language that families of community children are not mandated to sign a bed agreement in order to use these facilities, especially with the funds that we would provide.
You all would just entertain that as a vote, and also any other strategy in terms of who will be having the discussions with this agency as well as part of the vote. That would be great.
So does that need a second?
Yes, we do.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we know if the bed agreement is like on a sliding scale based on income, or is it just a fee that's non-negotiable?
My understanding is that it is not, but please, I'm not, the research that I did showed that it was not.
Could I ask, I guess the bed rates come down from like DCF for those kids, not community kids.
There is a bed rate that DCF negotiates, and then basically anybody can, to the public, say, I'm either going to charge you this amount or I'm going to charge you this amount. They're not necessarily held to the fact that they have to go by what the DCF rate is for community children. So, and I'm certainly not, and I feel for the fact that Bridging Freedom isn't here to answer some of these questions right now, and so that's basically, though, and I'm not saying that they do this, but let's just say round numbers. Let's say DCF was $500, which it's not, but let's say it was $500. Bridging Freedom could say, okay, we've got a contract with DCF $500, but we want to go ahead and charge community kids $1,000 a night. And once again, those are made-up numbers, just to give an example. So that's where I'd like to see the change, because we just have so many people right now who are this close to really wanting to save their kids and seek help, but they just don't have the funds to do so. And I believe that people in other counties who are taxpayers as well are probably in the same position, that they want to help their kids and they're going to work every day and doing what they can, and then just don't have the ability to pay for something like that.
Yes.
So two things. We could have a special meeting scheduled and ask Bridging Freedom to come. Actually, we can have them come. We have meetings already on the calendar for June.
The steering committee would probably be the best.
Right, so we can ask Bridging Freedom to come in June to the steering committee, ask those questions, and if you're on the steering committee, great. If you're not on the steering committee and want to be a part of that conversation, everyone, it's an open door. These are public meetings. Anybody could come to the steering committee meeting that's already scheduled. So I could reach out to Bridging Freedom and ask them to come to that steering committee meeting and get some of these questions answered for you. The second thing is that, as I mentioned, I have Ms. Dixon here from procurement, and I would like for her to, just give some direction or advice or clarification on timelines. FKQ is fine because we already have an existing contract with them. We would be using the same terms of that contract and extending it. Ms. Dixon, if you wouldn't mind.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Klug, Chief Judge Sabella. I'm Daria Dixon. I'm a Procurement Operations Coordinator down in Procurement Services Department. I was speaking with Ms. Monteleone regarding FKQ. If you remember a few months ago, and on the 24th floor, we had a meeting discussing procurement method where our Managing Director, John Hollingshead, gave the Commission some ideas of how this could work for FKQ, and we did. It was very successful. We issued a notice of intent to sole source or a non-competitive procurement. It went out, and we were able to issue a BPA or a blanket purchase agreement up until December 31st of 2024 in the amount of $150,000. Now, what happens with that notice when it's time to increase the dollar value different than what we placed on the notice? There was latitude granted by the language that we included that stated that the county reserves the right to increase the amount and extend the time. So FKQ, I feel like we're covered. Our procurement method is sealed and it will stay intact. The only thing that we may have to be concerned about is bridging the approval thresholds. County Administrator Bonnie Wise is authorized up to $250,000 to sign off on any award or approval. Once we cross that threshold, we are going to the board, and the board meets July 17th, only once in July, and then there are 2 meetings in August. Being sensitive and conscious to the timeline that Mrs. Monteleone just told us about a little while ago, regarding the other 2 matters, the mural as well as the housing, we probably should consider, and I look forward to hearing from Mrs. Monteleone regarding amounts, estimates, what that looks like, and speaking that over with our Managing Director and Director Stromer to prescribe a procurement method. I'm here to answer any questions. Those that I don't know, I'm not afraid to say I don't know, and I will refer and defer to Director Stromer.
And we can also invite either Mr. Hollingshead or Director Stromer and Ms. Dixon to the steering committee meeting, which we have done in the past, and they're always very accommodating. So if the $200,000 of the extension and increase for FKQ is voted on today and passed, then we would be reducing that $417,000 available, obviously, by $200,000, giving you $217,000 remaining to commit. So we could, at the steering committee meeting, discuss different ways of how that $217,000 could be expended, what the timelines are that we have, and then bring something back at the July meeting to this commission, the full board, for a vote, and we would be fine as far as our timeline if they voted on something in July.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, just to recap, so we've committed $150,000.
Yes.
You said the county administrator has authority to bind up to $250,000 more?
Yes.
That's in addition to the $150,000?
No, that is total, in totality, $250,000. So anything over that, we will have to seek a board meeting to get approval.
So she could approve up to $100,000 more, the $250,000 from $150,000, and the additional $100,000 would require BOCC approval.
That's correct.
Okay. With respect to the media campaign, do we have a motion or anyone about the $100,000 versus $200,000 as far as additional?
Motion to approve.
Okay. And that's the full $200,000?
Which amount, if we can be clear?
Okay.
200.
200,000. Any comments on that? You have a second?
Connie Rose, I second.
And just explain exactly as far as the additional $200,000, that'd be increasing the outreach, the media campaign, doing exactly what's going on right now with FKQ. It just will be spending more money on, radio ads, television ads, as well as billboards, et cetera. So it's just increasing what we have right now. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes? Okay, good. Okay, the motion passes, and so we're going to go to the Board of County Commissioners and try to get increase of 200,000 to 350,000 be the total FAQ contract, which leaves behind another 217,000. So at the next steering committee meeting, we need to have some presentations about the housing initiative as well as the mural and finding what those costs are. So we'll try to address that, and that is in, I think, is that in June? Ms. Multiliani?
Yes, sir.
And then the
It's on the bottom of the agenda, has the meeting dates for, and the times for the steering committee and the legislative judicial committee meetings, and that is June 20th, 2024.
Okay. So
And
that'll
they
give us
both,
time.
they start at 1.
Yes.
And then they run back to back.
Okay. And that'll give us time to make that decision, recommendation for the July 25th meeting. That's still time to commit those funds. Okay. Any questions?
Could I just ask you regarding the mural, you know, in this proposed funding request, it depends, the people that I talk to,
Yes.
it depends on, obviously, the square footage of the mural. So it's
Absolutely.
hard to come up with
Right.
an exact amount. But, you know, I listed all the things that they would need to look into, and the majority of the expenses would go to the muralist who paints the mural. So if FDOT hopefully can find a good location, would those monies go to FDOT for them to decide the muralist and for them to make
Okay.
all those decisions? How does that work?
Okay, it's my understanding we would, pay for that mural, the actual painting of it and the maintenance and upkeep. They would just provide the location for us. Okay. But that's to be determined and confirmed as well.
Okay.
Like you said, this is still somewhat up in the air.
Okay.
But they've been asking the same kind of questions about, what's the square footage and who's going to maintain it, et cetera. And they said, depends on your site. I mean, it could be any large or small. Depends on how much space we have to cover.
What's meant by maintaining, like if there's any graffiti or
Yes.
things that we didn't have that problem for 2 years
Right.
before with the other mural, but you never know.
Right.
So that's what is meant by maintaining?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Should we also, would it be appropriate to ask the Tampa Foundation to also come to that meeting and give a presentation or not? I mean, I don't know, since I've been.
Yeah, I would
in
think so, is just have them
communication
come to
with
the steering committee as well. Was the Junior League involved in the past as well? They
To a
raised money?
degree,
Yeah.
yes, but
Okay.
I know as the Commission on the Status of Women is taking on that,
Okay,
this
good.
as well, and, so, you're looking at me like.
Well, I'm looking at you because you're looking at me. And I'm not sure where to jump in, if I may, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
absolutely.
So this commission doesn't have a place to accept donations. So we could either, there's a couple of options. If the Tampa Foundation was interested in providing funds and supplementing what the Commission on Human Trafficking puts into this project, donations could be made and the county could give the Tampa Foundation money. Now, that's another procurement question, I think, and I'm not sure Ms. Dixon can answer that today. So that question would be posed at the steering committee meeting and we can get an answer there. I do know that the Commission on the Status of Women does have their own fundraisers, so they do have a place where they could collect money. They're also not an agency, but they're a board and council of Hillsborough County. So we could also ask for the county to allocate that, to the Commission on the Status of Women as a repository for the funds. And, in that case, if the Commission on the Status of Women is going to have the money, we could, go out and ask private businesses or, philanthropists in the community to contribute. I don't, like you said, it's kind of and Dottie will get this joke, a chicken before the egg kind of situation. Because without knowing the size of the location, we don't know the cost of the mural. And without the cost, the mural artist being chosen who could give us those estimates, it's hard to tell the Department of Transportation, you know, how large this is going to be and, you know, what the estimated costs are. Because who knows, maybe the state would be interested in, you know, handling some of the cost. Because I know before you paint I'm not a muralist, but I know before you paint a mural, you have to prepare the surface, and there's a cost to preparing the surface before the mural can be installed. So maybe the Department of Transportation would be kind enough to prepare the surface, and that would take, you know, some of the cost off of your shoulders. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of unknowns.
Okay, so at the, go ahead.
Oh, and I just wanted to clarify that you were going to reach out to Bridging Freedom, that I did not need to do that.
Yes,
to attend
so
that meeting. Okay, thank you.
So I have at the steering committee so far to invite Bridging Freedom, the Procurement Division, and the Tampa Foundation. And if anyone has any other suggestions for anybody else who needs to be invited to that steering committee meeting, just reach out to me and let me know.
Okay. And we will have a representative from FDOT will be present there to talk about the mural as well. So
I'll add them to the list,
yes,
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, forward that name to you. So ideally, we won't have to pay anything for the mural. You know, it'd be an ideal situation. We get the monies donated by someone else, and then of course we have to make sure whatever we do, it's in accordance with procurement policy, et cetera. Great. Okay, we're going to move on to the next issue. It's a staff report, kind of winding down the meeting. We have a membership update, and Ms. Monteleon has gone through this and kind of painstakingly looked at all of our membership dates. And I think there was some issues about when different board members were appointed, and we're trying to make that consistent. So if you could explain what we've done here and
Yes.
what the status is. Thank you.
Absolutely. So with the last update resolution and the bylaws, it's resolution number 23090. There's language in there, and it was provided to all of you, a copy was provided to all of you, that resolution would essentially repeal the two that came before it. So you're starting as if those two resolutions never existed because they were repealed. They have been replaced by this one. This one was passed on November 1st of 2023. So that would reset all terms for everyone on this committee to November 1st, 2023. The language also calls for staggered terms. So some of you would have served a one-year term, and some of you would have served a two-year term. So with the resetting, everyone's term started on November 1st of 2023. The end dates of those terms have now changed. So for most of you, the end date would be October 31st of 2025. For others, it would be October 31st, 2024. There's only a couple of members that fall into the category where they would be losing a few months of their current term. And I have already spoken with Member Rose, and hers is one of the affected positions. Another is a vacant position, so that person, when they come on board, would then, you know, they would be serving a partial term. Because in the previous thinking, the terms were running with the person. So if someone would to resign, and then their term would then be from the time they were reinstated, or that person would apply, the vacant position would be filled. In the language, going strictly from the language in the resolution, the term runs with the position. So all of the positions are categorized by name. The only ones that don't ever change from the first resolution to the second one, now to the third one, was TPD, HCSO, and the commissioner. Everybody else had different end dates of their positions because of when they came on or when they left or when, a position was vacant. With this, the position is the term, not the person. So it is pretty clear, that language. So the clerk will be bringing forward a motion to the Board of County Commissioners for resetting everyone's term. No one has to fill out new applications. No one has to submit any paperwork. It's just going to go to the Board of County Commissioners, that everyone's term starts November 1st, everyone's term ends October 31, with the appropriate years. So beyond that, we have a couple of other membership updates, and that is the position for the Plant City Police Department is now open. I am waiting to hear from the Chief of Police in Plant City. Sergeant Lee has retired and left the Plant City Police Department, and they did not have an alternate in place for him. So I'll be reaching out to the Chief of Police of Plant City to fill that vacancy. We have the Religious Institutions vacancy, and that position, I'm anticipating an application to be submitted shortly. And Ms. Laskowski's Community Advocate position is also open, and I also expect a application filling that position to be coming to place on the next Board of County Commissioners agenda. And let me say that if we don't get those applications in very soon, we will be missing an opportunity to fill the positions until the new year, because there is a rule that in an election year, the Board of County Commissioners does not fill any board seat for 90 days prior to an election. So even though there's board meetings, I can't put any membership applications on the agenda 90 days before the election. So that's why it's imperative that we get those applications in and we get them in quickly. And that is all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Good. Any questions about the appointments and the status? And the good news is we don't have to fill out any more paperwork. So, thanks.
Lisa, does that have to also do with the alternates? Does that change anything for the alternates?
The alternate positions run concurrent with the primary member. So their term is identical to the term the primary member serves.
I just want to thank Ms. Monteleone for keeping this all straight and together. It makes my head spin, so thank you.
It's my pleasure to serve, ma'am.
Okay, we also have a statewide council update. We have Aaron Collins here.
HTV, do we have Aaron Collins in the application?
Aaron, can you hear us?
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Well, good afternoon, commissioners and members. My name is Aaron Collins. I'm the executive director of the Florida Alliance to End Human Trafficking. We're the direct support organization to the statewide Council on Human Trafficking, which was created 5 years ago by the legislature and reauthorized by the legislature this past session. And exciting week for us. Last Monday, the governor signed the reauthorization bill into law, which will take place with the beginning of the new fiscal year. We're focused on increasing awareness and education through various industries statewide. And then also raising funds to support law enforcement in their efforts to identify, rescue, and aid in prosecution. Through our training, which we offer virtually, it's available in 12 different languages. People who have certain requirements for their industry or profession within the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. Ours is one of the approved courses. It's also approved by the Florida Bar. And then for those with medical or healthcare continuing education requirements, we work with those medical boards and practitioners to ensure compliance for those different terms, again, with regards to all those different specifications for those personnel. We also do on-demand or ad hoc trainings for different industries and groups that maybe want something a little bit more specialized, we're happy to have the appropriate members on our board provide those trainings. We also promote the Attorney General's 100% Club, which is a training challenge to business owners, regardless of the size of your organization, 10 people, 10,000 people. As you all know so well, if people in the public do not report tips to law enforcement, we don't know to investigate. It's so important that, as we say, when we see something, say something. And by taking a training, the hopes is that, we will share it with our professional colleagues, personally, family, you name it, to be able to help and assist our law enforcement partners. The exciting thing this year and ongoing from private funds raised, as an aside, I was listening to some of the previous budget conversation for some of the efforts that you are focused on and continuing. We do not receive public funding. So all the funding that are going towards these law enforcement grants, which we announced some selection earlier this year, and there's another current application period open, which closes June 7th. It's all done with private funds. And the goal is to offset and complement law enforcement's existing, whether it's through a specified HT task force or starting up one, but really for technology needs. We know that these individuals who are motivated by illegal profits are going to do whatever they can to continue their exploits. And how can we leverage technology, proven innovative technologies that can combat that? So applications in our first round ranged from different analytical tools, different things that they want, again, to offset, whether analysts or members of the team, but really just for technology purposes to aid in their proactive good work. We also have a lot of different awareness materials and resources on our website. We've developed a docuseries, podcast, other materials, again, available in multiple languages for the public to use. And the goal is to share it, widely and broadly, whether that's through, a company newsletter, your homeowners association, board in the community, your social media. It's all there for people to use and to educate the public. So that's what we're focused on. We just had our big annual awareness gala last Friday, and the goal is to work with communities across the state, which we do, and you all are truly bright shining stars in Hillsborough County. So thank you for everything that you all do, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments from Ms. Collins? Any questions about the Florida Alliance in human trafficking? Good. Okay. We appreciate that presentation, and thank you for attending. It's very informative, and we appreciate your conversation. Thanks.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I want to personally thank Ms. Collins for being here. She had a meeting just prior to this, and she had to wiggle her schedule a little bit to fit us in, so I want to thank Ms. Collins for her time today. And I also want to call your attention to the statewide Council on Human Trafficking. I had the ability to get some of the agendas and some of the recaps of their meetings of the statewide council. I've requested a couple of other recaps or minutes from meetings, and I'll pass those along as soon as I receive those. And what I know no one had any questions for Ms. Collins, but I thought it was important to hear about the training, because you all have talked about training so much that they have in place, and their 100% club. Tampa General Hospital recently went through that program and are part of the 100% club. So our partners at Tampa General have participated, and maybe what this commission could do is advertise or advocate to have individuals, businesses take part in the effort that Ms. Collins leads as the support organization to the statewide council and their training programs.
So if we want to contact Ms. Collins, we should go through you, Ms. Monteleone?
Yes, absolutely. Anybody wants any further information about participating in any of the programs, happy to pass that information along.
Great presentation, thank you. So we're now at the public comment section, and the Commission on Human Trafficking has established a period at each of its regular meetings to allow citizens to speak. Anyone who wishes to speak virtually or in person during the meeting may do so by contacting the Commission's administrator. His contact information is on the Commission's webpage and on the county's website. All speakers who wish to speak virtually will be required to provide their name and address and telephone number. This information is being requested to facilitate the public comment process. The chair will call on speakers by name in the order which their requests to speak have been received. And prioritization is on a first-come, first-served basis. All virtual speakers will be muted upon joining the meeting and will be unmuted to be recognized by the chair by name. The Commission respects the rights of citizens to express their concerns. In the concerns, however, the Commission requests that citizens present their concerns in a respectful manner to maintain a polite atmosphere where all individuals are respected, and each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. So I think we do have a speaker today.
Mr. Chair, we have two, Ms., and I'm sorry if I mispronounce anyone's last name. Happens to me all the time, personally. Ms. Lou Ann Ross-Deutscher, thank you, from the Campaign Against Human Trafficking South Shore. And we also have, again, I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Mr. Mohammed Carciti was close. So Ms. Ross-Deutscher had sent in a few slides that HTV has ready for your presentation.
Hello. I want to thank the Commission for the honor of presenting to you. My name is Lou Ann Ross-Deutscher, and most people just call me Lou Ann because that Ross-Deutscher is really hard. I represent the Campaign Against Human Trafficking in South Shore, Hillsborough County. We call ourselves CAT, C-A-H-T. Our mission is to eliminate human trafficking in the South Shore and Greater Tampa Bay area by providing resources to those who rescue and support victims and providing critical information to protect others from becoming victims. We are committed to supporting the victims, to celebrating the survivors, to reducing the demand, and to eventually ending human trafficking. Our commitment to supporting victims, you can change the slide now, forward. Actually, what I'm going to say isn't on here, so back up one, that's okay. Our commitment to supporting victims is our rescue backpack service, and many of you may know about that. We provide rescue backpacks to the law enforcement, the FBI. Yeah, there it is. That's our commitment. Over the past 5 years, now 5.5 years, we've done almost 950 backpacks. We're planning on 225 this year. Our commitment to celebrating survivors is that our survivor services team of 9 women go to the shelters and speak with, cook with, bake with, play games with our survivors. The idea is to talk with them and be normal, have a life, talk about their life. These, we don't know what we know, and a lot of these survivors don't know what normal is, so that's what they do. Now you can advance it one. Okay, no problem. Our commitment to reducing demand is our community awareness program that we started this year. We are working with the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking, and they are doing certification training and all of that part of it, and we are doing the organization and the communications part of it. Our goal is to make people aware of what human trafficking is, how to recognize it, what to do if they see it, and to help us prevent it. And that's something we started this year, and we're working hard at it right now. My goal today is to make you aware of the South Shore. We are not the sleepy little town with the cows and the farms like we used to be. We are now growing, and we have multiple, numerous subdivisions going on. We have a lot of building. We have a lot of infrastructure and schools having to be increased because of the huge numbers of people that are moving into our area every day. We have some vibrant developments that have newly retired people who want to volunteer, and they are actively volunteering and helping a lot. We have a vibrant community in Wamama, a Hispanic community that's just doing a fantastic job of working with their people to make everything better. At the same time, we have an increase in immigrants, we have an increase in difficulties and domestic violence and human trafficking, and that's what's happening. And you know, you talk about increasing the services for kids, because we need that now too. So I'm not asking for anything today, but I do want you to be aware. On a personal level, I'm a nurse. I have a degree in psychology and business administration. My career was as a nurse case manager, director, working with insurance companies and self-funded corporations. I'm also a survivor of domestic violence with my first husband. My personal desire is to help women be empowered, to help men be better. No more Johns. Okay, that's it for me. Are there any questions? Okay.
I have a quick question. As far as I know, your mission's to eliminate human trafficking, not only in South Shore, but the greater Tampa Bay area. But what is your South Shore geographic parameters?
Okay.
How far do you reach?
I should have said that. We cover Sun City Center, Ruskin, Wamama, part of Riverside, Apollo Beach, up to Gibsonton.
Great. So
Yeah.
imagine you're accepting volunteers, and
We are always, in fact, I found one here today, just
Very good.
before the meeting. I'm so happy about that, because she also has Spanish, which is what we need. Yes.
Okay.
The other thing is that with our backpacks, we go through all the counties. We're in St. Petersburg and Hillsborough and Pasco and Pinellas.
Well, thank you for your presentation and all your work. Thanks.
Thank you. I've got some more flyers here and stuff if you want.
And I just wanted to say thank you to Luann and your group. You know, excuse me? It is. It is. Just thank you, because I know y'all been around for a while and you've done tremendous work in the South Shore area. And I think everybody needs to know about all the great work that y'all do down there. So thank you.
Thank you. That's why I'm here.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to each member of this commission for your unwavering dedication and your relentless efforts to combat human trafficking within Hillsborough County. Your work is not only vital, but truly inspiring. The strides you've made, particularly in providing housing for teenage girls who've been rescued from trafficking, are a safe haven and a chance to rebuild their lives. Moreover, your extensive campaigns and awareness programs across Tampa Bay have significantly heightened public consciousness about the realities of human trafficking, The media presence and the community events you organize are crucial in educating the public and fostering a community that stands excuse me, I didn't prepare much.
It's okay. And while you're thinking about that, at the end of your presentation, if you could state your name for the record, because
Yes, of
although I
course.
put it into the record,
Yeah, of course.
we need to have it stated on the record.
Yeah, of course. My
Thank
name
you.
is Mohammed Karsidi. But yeah, MohamedKharsety. So I'd like to get back to saying that the things you do are crucial in educating the public and fostering a community that stands united against this grave injustice. However, as much as I admire the work being done, I must address a concern that I believe is equally important for us to consider. It pertains to the catfishing schemes where law enforcement officers pose as relatives offering fictitious girls as escorts on adult websites. While I understand the intentions behind these operations is to catch predators, I have reservations about the methods employed. Allow me to share my personal experience to illustrate this point. I was one of those individuals who was caught in such a scheme. I was not seeking to engage in illegal activities, but I was drawn in by curiosity, influenced by what I had seen on social media. This led to my arrest on July 27, 2023, and I'm now facing charges that could potentially ruin my life. I'm a 27-year-old cancer survivor, and I'm an aspiring oncologist. I've struggled with mental health challenges and social anxiety, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. My journey has been shaped by these struggles, and despite overcoming many obstacles, I now find myself facing the daunting prospect of a life-altering legal battle. I've always been family-oriented, taking care of my mother and 3 older sisters, one of them being back here and my mom being back here. My background is one of service to my community, particularly in the health field where I work at Moffitt Cancer Center. Despite this, I'm now being treated as a predator, a label that could end my career and my dreams. Despite these challenges, I remain steadfast in my commitment to serving others and making a positive impact in our community. As an aspiring oncologist, I'm still driven by a passion to heal and alleviate suffering. My experiences have instilled in me a deep sense of empathy and compassion, qualities that I believe are essential in providing care to those in need. I'm confident that given the opportunity, I can contribute significantly to our community's well-being, not only through my future medical practices, but also through advocacy and outreach efforts to raise awareness about issues just like human trafficking. In conclusion, I urge this commission to reconsider the methods used in these operations. Although I know you're not directly involved, I believe when I was in school, I was a part of student bodies who created commissions like this, and something like this is truly inspiring to see that even though greater politics may get involved in the way of society, that commissions like these still exist to provide operational and actionable items, to move forward and progress human trafficking operations. I believe that we should find a balance to protect our community from genuine threats without causing undue harm to innocent individuals. Together, we can ensure that our actions are both just and compassionate, upholding the dignity of every person involved. Thank you for your time and consideration. Now, when I read this speech to people around me that cared for me, they loved it, and they thought it had a strong message. But I believe in action. I believe in goals. So I've handwritten down multiple bullet points, and I'd love to address those. If anybody has any questions or wants to think from my point of view what could be done or what could be changed as a 27-year-old who used to hang out on social media. Of course, I deleted my Instagram to focus on medical school way back in 2020, but I still have an idea of how social media can influence our world and how it can influence our kids. So with that being said, I appreciate the time and consideration of everybody here, but if you do have questions or you do want to know what I think could be done based off of my bullet points that I've written here, things like education to vulnerable communities, things like job training and counseling to victims, things like addressing root causes that include poverty, inequality, lack of opportunity that can reduce vulnerability to these young ladies and these young men who are both engaging in these activities. Also international corporations. We are Florida. We are connected to South America. We do have a lot of Spanish-speaking individuals based off of Dr. Jill from the University of South Florida's research on human trafficking from 2017. And then we can also engage corporate responsibility. We believe in capitalism here. I believe it is the key to some of our freedom and some of our opportunities. My parents came as immigrants to this country believing in that key essential term. Businesses and corporations are they can be a big solution, or they can stop you from moving forward in situations that include ethical labor practices and supply chain transparency. So having those kind of healthy relationships with these organizations, with influencers, with celebrities, can really, really promote fair and justice end to human trafficking without having any fish get caught in the trap. Thank you so much. Any questions?
If you could leave your contact information with me, and any of the members want to reach out, then they'll have a way of contacting you.
Most definitely. Thank you for your time, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for your comments and your commitment to your family and your community. And I hope we encourage you to continue your education. And we appreciate your interest in human trafficking. Thanks.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I know I'm not allowed to talk. And,
You are.
No, because he don't register my name, and maybe no time, but I just need to know from Muhammad come from where. I am a civil engineer, but I never practice engineering. I take all my time to raise my kids. I came to America 27 years ago, and I was pregnant. Muhammad visit my brother, decide to go back Egypt. I live in Saudi Arabia, but my brother, he come Muhammad when I be here. I don't imagine, but when I come, I find this is the best country I can live. This is the freedom, everything good. His dad is a doctor for animal. His sister is dentist. The sister we have it now, Mariam, she's psychology. Other sister in the media in Egypt. And Muhammad have cancer, and doctor since he's 4 years old until 14 years old tell me maybe he die anytime because he have a tumor cancer here. And as soon as we finish in Texas from cancer, we move to Florida. He have like 4 meniscus in his knee from football. He always dreamed to be a football player. And excuse me about my language. I'm a mom, and when we used to have a restaurant, he always have concussion, hit his face. He just did accident with BMW with my sister, my daughter, and destroyed. Car accident. Every 2 months I have big problem. I know Muhammad more than I know myself because I raise him good way, but I keep in home always Egyptian culture and speaking Arabic, and he go to school, he dreamed to be a doctor, and I know my son 100%. If I do mistake, my son will do it, because I know how I raise my son. And I blame him. He did big mistake when he go by himself. And in the conversation with the police, he tell her, you are a police, and she tell no. But I know he is like Superman. If you come home with me, you find Muhammad watch Superman, watch, he always dream for the best. And he just have a conversation with me a couple of days. Mama, you raise us in Texas. All of us volunteer in everything. And I'm ready to volunteer to help. I'm ready to volunteer with my English, with my Egyptian language to translate. But I just need everybody know Muhammad is very honest. Not because he's my son, because I know how I raise him. And the biggest mistake, he go by himself. He should never go. What I just need everybody know. Thank you very much for your time.
Before you step away from the podium, ma'am, we do need your name for the record.
Okay.
So if you could say your name and then spell it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm ready for volunteer to help because we need to help. This is a random opportunity. I live in America 27 years, more than I live in any place. This is my country. Thank you very much.
Name for the record.
My name is Iman, E-M-A-N, and last name is Hanafi. H-A-N-A-F-I.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, at this time, I'll open the floor to discuss any old business.
I have one, if no one else does.
Okay.
The committee at the Legislative Affairs meeting had asked for some language to be included for the Board of County Commissioners legislative agenda on the federal side, and that culminated in a meeting between Ms. Glaister and Mr. Parkinson, and that request is moving forward through the process. So our Chief of Government Relations and Strategic Services is reviewing the legislative agenda before meetings with the Board of County Commissioners, and I just wanted to give you all an update that was moving through the process.
And I would just like to thank Mr. Parkinson. He literally did all of the work and is so, so appreciated. He even took the time to basically speak with mothers that he works with and see what their input would be. And that goes above and beyond and is really appreciated. So I just want to say thank you.
I have one thing too. For those of you who came to the USF Tip Lab Bright Network launch, thank you. It was incredible. And this network is going to be a game changer when it's all completed, that platform where law enforcement can just click a button and see what's available and not be on the phone for hours trying to find placement, and service providers as well. So it's exciting, and it was great to see some of y'all's faces there. So just wanted to bring that up.
Oh, thank you. Okay, any new business? Yes. This one.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Just to save the date, I'll leave one of these, I only have one on there, on the table behind me. It will be Saturday, August 24th at the Carrollwood Country Club, co-sponsored by the Women's Abuse Christian Outreach and the SOS Human Trafficking from St. Paul's. Tickets are $50. Don't have any information today as far as how to purchase your tickets, but that will be forthcoming, I guess, in the next month or so. But mark it in your calendar, Saturday, August 24th, between 12 noon and 3 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Any other new business?
Lisa, may I? About
Yes,
June?
absolutely.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know we were allowed to do that. I apologize. Some of you know Miss June Wallace, Community Campaign Against Human Trafficking. Sun City Center, of course, absolutely does. We call her the grandmother of human trafficking. Here's why. So back in 2004, when the very first award of money for a task force, which was the Clearwater Tampa Bay Task Force Against Human Trafficking, she was tasked, and there's a lot of stories how that all happened, so I'll just say she was tasked to kind of do the advocacy arm, and that's where the Community Campaign Against Human Trafficking was birthed. Then we rolled in and rebranded to become the Free Network, and I share all this with you because we are honoring her. Next week, it's May the 29th. It's at the Firehouse Cultural Center in Ruskin. It's from 11:30 to 1:30. We are also giving a first scholarship. It is a survivor trauma therapy scholarship. For those of you that know, those of us that have been out of the life for years, right, there's really not any services for us, and especially when we need trauma therapy, funds are dried up. And so V2S has taken upon ourselves to create this scholarship, but we would love for anyone that would like to attend. So most of you have all my contact information, and thank you, Lisa, for allowing us to share that.
And I just want to clarify, because I've been asked to circulate fundraising events, and for those individuals who've contacted me and asked me that, know that my response is that I cannot or should not circulate fundraisers through the county, because it may give the perception that Hillsborough County is promoting or supporting that particular fundraising event. But here, during public comment, when this is on television, individual members can make those announcements at the meeting, under new business. But that is why you don't see me sending out fundraisers for, when requested. What you will see, and I'm glad I have this opportunity, is Ms. Groover-Skipper recently did a TEDx talk. And I do have that video from her TEDx talk, so I will be sending that out to everyone. And if anybody has information that they would like other members of the commission to have, then by all means, send it to me and I will send it out. I just will not be forwarding fundraising information.
Thank you. And any additional comments? Okay, our next steering committee meeting is on June 20th. It's at 1 p.m. Even though you may not be a member of the steering committee, I encourage you to attend. We have some interesting topics we need to tackle at that meeting on June 20th. That's on the 22nd floor conference room, and then it's followed by the Legislative and Judicial Subcommittee at 2 o'clock. That meeting may be a little bit later than that. We have quite a bit on our agenda for the steering committee. And then, of course, our July meeting, the next meeting of the full board is July 25th in this room at 1 o'clock as well.
One correction, that should read the 24th floor, not the 22nd floor.
24th
That
floor?
was my
Okay.
typographical error. I apologize.
Okay. I thought we'd make it all the rounds of the different floors. Yes.
24th floor conference room, yes.
Okay. Great. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Thanks. And a second? Okay, well, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for attending today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.